Prime Time.
And joining me live and direct on the NewsHour tonight is General Vijay Singh, Union Minister, as well as former Army Chief. General Vijay Singh, good evening and thank you for joining me on the NewsHour tonight. My question is, why are youngsters so agitated in 7 states, as we've seen visuals coming in from their protests that are happening? Is there miscommunication? Is there misinterpretation? Or is the issue of what happens after 4 years something that's bothering these young people who aspire for a job in the armed forces?
Navika, let me start by saying there is misinformation campaign launched by politicizing the whole issue. I just heard you saying some of the opposition people are saying, why didn't we go out and start telling people? Is each scheme of the government brought out to be told, especially about the army? Let me take you back. We had an emergency commission which started in 61. People fought in 62. Did the government announce it? We started with the short service commission. Did the government announce it? Government has announced a short-term measure for enrolling the youth, and youth which is voluntary. Let me emphasize this word. This army of ours is voluntary, and a voluntary army which is delivered results right through our various confrontations that have taken place. Where is the doubt? If anybody wants to go to the army voluntarily, please go. Let's say in the earlier scheme also, for each vacancy, there were at least 100 candidates. Some people didn't get selected. Some people got selected. Some people blamed the system. But did the political parties get involved in it? No. They didn't get involved in it. What I see, it is not about Agnipath and Agniveer scheme. It's all about what is happening in front of the ED. Most of the things have been orchestrated to create a scene as if this scheme is bad. This is not a land acquisition scheme. This is not a scheme in which something else is being done. It is a way that is being opened for short-term entry of the youth. You asked very rightly, what happens after 4 years, right? What happens after 4 years? Some people will be discharged, 75%. 25% will get a chance to serve the army. Those who have been found better than the others. So there is a spirit of competition that has been, injected into the whole system. 6 months training, he gets his pay. Every month he gets his pay. At the end of the tenure, he gets a Seva Nidhi of 11.7 crores. He goes back home with a particular bank balance. And already, and I'm underlining that word, Haryana, UP and the Home Ministry have said that they will give opportunity to these people who come out because they're trained manpower. Nowhere you will get a trained manpower. Nowhere you will get people who are motivated. Nowhere you will get people who are ready to do a job when others can't do it. You will get that kind of manpower. Instead of creating ripples and allowing people to go and burn trains and all other things, it would have been in fitness of things if all these so concerned people, I heard a lot of senior politicians speaking, a lot of chief ministers speaking. Can't they do the same thing which Haryana, UP and the Home Ministry has done? Announce that they will give opportunity in their police forces to all this trained manpower? No, they don't want to do it because they want people to be on the streets. They want to incite them to go and burn trains, to burn buses. And as a former army man who spent 42 years in the army, anybody who's involved in it I don't think he's got the right mentality to join the army.
Well, General Vijay Singh, I also want to ask you the question. People who enter the armed forces through the Agnipath and become Agniveers, is that the only way of entering the armed forces, or the other exams which were held, which many people in Bihar are saying they have been training for years, spending money in passing the physical examination, the tests, the medicals, etc. Is that going to continue parallelly? That is the question that seems to be on the minds of many of these youth who are on the streets.
Let me say very clearly to all the youth, if you want to enter the army, the system remains the same. We will test you, we'll physically check you, we'll medically examine you. You are not coming here for a picnic. You're coming to serve the army, which is tough. You will go to difficult terrain. You will do difficult things. And that is why we want fit people. All those conditions still apply. And if a person has been training, let's say for some time, let him show his worth. When the recruitment starts, where is the doubt? I really don't know. The doubt is, I think, look here, my age is now more than 22 or 21. Well, that happens in all government jobs. If the date is gone because there was COVID and we didn't do any recruitment, it's just too bad. It's just too bad. Now you can't go back and say, no, I will take people who missed out and I'll take a person of 23-year age or more. It doesn't happen. Nowhere does it happen. Nowhere in the world it happens. I mean, why talk of India? Nowhere in the world it happens. So let's, not create a situation which I find a lot of people are creating. I think there's a need to understand the system. And I would also say a scheme has just started. Not even first recruitment has taken place. Let it start. Let's see how it goes. Course corrections in all schemes take place. After all, you would recall, we had a short service commission. We started with 5 years. A person served for 5 years. After that, he went back. He didn't get any pension. He didn't get any medical facilities. But did it lower their motivation? No. They performed excellently. So it is not a question of the money. It's not a question of, this is not a government job in the sense where you go there to get that safety that, okay, I'll put a proxy here and I'll go and do my dukaan somewhere else. No, it is not like that. So it is... we need to look at what things are and not turn them around to suit our political system.
General Vijay Singh, a video of yours is going very viral, where you were seen a little on the fence about the scheme, I think just yesterday. And you said that you hadn't seen the scheme, you weren't consulted on the scheme. I want to ask you, put a hand on your heart and say, with such talent in the government, sitting inside a former army chief, were you not consulted when this policy was made?
Navika, let me tell you what I told the journalists, and I told them that you will quote me wrong. Okay. What I told them was, look here, each department has its own system. I'm in road transport and highways and aviation. It's not my job to meddle with what MOD is doing. MOD and the Raksha Mantri have got 3 chiefs available for the type of advice that they want. Why do you want to push me into it? I'm doing a particular job, I'll do my job well. If I was in the MOD, I would have given my advice. So what I told them was that everybody is not consulted. How the whole thing has started, I won't know, because it started somewhere in some other department. I only know what the finished product is. This is what I told them, and then I told them, you will quote me wrong. and I was not wrong.
So the general is right, the politician is right, it's the media that gets it wrong. Is that right?
No. What happens is, you understand what is happening. You are paying attention. Some of the people in a crowd, what they're hearing is what they want to hear. You ask me a question, why weren't you consulted? I mean, if you don't know the system of the government, then that's a wrong question.
Well,
in the government, every department is responsible for the type. Do we consult everybody in the government that we want to make a road from Delhi to Amritsar? No. So if I was to ask somebody, hey, weren't you consulted for this road alignment going from Delhi to Amritsar? And if he says no, then it will be wrong.
Fair enough. General VK Singh, I want to ask you this. As an army man today, take off your politician's hat and tell me, some former defense experts, former army personnel have come out and said that the 6-month training may not just be enough for these Agniveers to be, very well in a position to defend the country in strategic locations like maybe on the Indo-China border or the Indo-Pakistan border. And some of them say, what happens to the commanding officers if they have 8% of people who are, regular army men who have gone through rigorous training and have 20% of a workforce which are the Agniveers? They won't be able to use these 20% in combat situations, in confrontation situations. Do you share their fear?
Navika, the problem is, a lot of times we create a cloud. Let me explain it to you. The normal training that a soldier receives is 1 year as recruitment. After that, he goes to unit. He's still raw. 1 year is just enough for him to understand things. The rest of the training occurs when he's in the unit. And training is constant. It doesn't stop. You can't say that, in 2 years' time, he's become very well trained. This army, you constantly train if you want to be a good soldier. Training never finishes. Learning never finishes. Secondly, if I was to go by this analogy, why will somebody who got an EC commission, 3 months training, emergency commissioned officer, they do not perform well? All these people who are saying about this, I would like to ask it's a very simple question. They performed well. They performed well in trying conditions, and they were discharged after 2 years or 3 years. Did they say, I didn't get pension? No. Let's take short service commission. 9 months training. Did he not perform well? Performed well. They delivered the results. If they had to capture a height, they captured the heights. Even in that capture, he died. So let's not get tied down to a bogey just because we want to prove our point. Training is a constant factor. 6 months training breaks him into the system. After that, the unit will take care. If unit wants to use him for something useful, unit will ensure that the person is trained.
Well said. General VK Singh, extremely enlightening conversation there, and thanks for speaking on all the controversies surrounding this new scheme, the Agnipath scheme put out by the government. Hopefully, it will clear a lot of cobwebs and myths that people have begun to believe in even before testing out the scheme. Thank you very much, General VK Singh,
for
joining me on the NewsHour.